We'll wait just a minute here. It's about time to start. Period. We'll wait just a minute here. We're waiting on Daniel Beatty, and Mike said he was coming. Mike Hughes, so he's not here. Well, 4 minutes late there, so we'll go ahead and start. Maybe they'll walk in on us here. We want to welcome everybody today, all the committee members, one that's here, and the visitors, the banner, and the mayor, and Troy. Appreciate you being here. First of all, on the agenda is approval of January the 9th, 2023 minutes. It's on page 2. I need a motion to.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Got a second? Okay, any questions? Yes, Mayor?
Just make sure you're approving the January minutes and not the, because in your packets,
November.
not November's.
Okay, November meetings, yeah. What did I say, January?
Well, January's what you're approving, but.
Yeah, approved, yeah, okay. All right, well, it's on the second page, goes through and we got that settled, hopefully. Okay, agenda items is archives, annex security options. We had a meeting on this prior to this meeting, and at that meeting, we were talking about a sprinkler system and different ways that we could protect archives. And at that time, that we decided instead of a sprinkler system, the cost of a sprinkler system, there were other ways that was less expensive. And we asked Troy to get us some estimates on that and see what we could come up with. And so Troy, I'll leave it up. I'll let you start out on it there.
Is that gonna work? Okay, so, we did, recommend putting a fire, detection system in. Of course, if you put sprinklers in, you would have to have that anyways. But the proximity of the fire department, my recommendation is don't worry about sprinkling the building, just put a very good fire system in there to notify the fire department to be there. We need to put a Knox box on the door where they can take their key and open the Knox box, get the key, get in the building without tearing the building up. So, and then I would look at putting a burglar alarm system since that building's not occupied all the time. And we did our due diligence and we called a lot of people and tried to get a lot of people to give us, a quote. And that way you would have difference in pricing from the different people, but that's proven to be pretty difficult. Some people said they might could get to us in a few months to give us a price. But the one we recommended was Galahar. They showed up. They looked through the building. When they talked to us, they sounded competent that they knew what we needed and they could get to it and do the install on it. So that's the reason why we put together what we could get, and from what we have, that's what I would recommend is going with Galahar. They could do the the fire system with the heat detectors and the ductwork, ambient temperature. So let's say the heat quit working or whatever, and the building got too cold, it would send a notification that we would need to go over and check all that stuff. And then the burglar alarm that we recommended as well. So with that, if you total it all up, it's a little bit above the 25,000, but the individual pieces that we went back and added are not. So that's going to be whether y'all want to do it all at once or if y'all want to do it in pieces or however you want to do it.
Okay, Mayor, what do we do on that when it comes to the bids, or is this below bid, below the 25,000?
Yeah, that's my concern is it would be, they'll look at it as all one project and may cause us to have to bid it, Troy. So by going with Galahar, if you do it that way, it puts it over the bid amount. It's been so hard to get estimates, I don't know how hard it's going to be to even get bids. But we may have to go through the bid process. You see what I'm saying? Smoke detectors, the air techs, and the alarm all together is 30-something thousand, so that would be over the bid amount. Probably is what we would have to do. But I guess from this committee, if you want to decide which ones to go with and recommend those to finance, because we'll have to figure out about the paying at the finance level anyway. So if you go ahead and recommend that, we'll find out about the bidding. Whatever you recommend, we'll find out about the bidding by then.
Okay, do we recommend that one, or do we recommend all? What else you got
Yeah.
in?
Mr. Chairman, question.
Yes. Yes.
Question. Troy, so your recommendation is quote 1, 2, and 3, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had. And that would service everything that you guys need over there for the annex, is that right?
That would monitor the building the way I feel like that, number one, it's unoccupied all the time, unless somebody needs to either put something in or take something out. So that would be my recommendation. That way it takes care of any fire situation, anybody entering the building that's not supposed to be in the building, and also the ambient temperature.
The knock box that you're talked about, is that in this quote as well?
That is not, but I
Okay.
think we included that. I'll find out what that is, but I want to say that's probably like a $600 item.
Okay.
believe, but I'll find out for sure.
Okay, Mayor, what's your recommendation?
Well,
the recommendation?
I have no problem with those recommendations from Troy, if you all are okay with that. I guess another question, playing devil's advocate, Troy. Pie Barker has quoted less, but they provide less. They, with the less quote, they do have duck detectors in it, I believe. Does that mean at the end of the day, they didn't give you an estimate on the burglar alarm? Only Gallagher did that?
That's correct, and that was the thing, is we were specific when we gave them, we want this many, smokes, we want this many fire detectors, and they came back with something different because, well, because they could, I guess. But,
So please understand, if they're lumped together, Gallagher is more, but it's providing the things he specified versus the other one is not quite doing that. Is that correct?
that is correct.
I just want to make sure you all understand in your recommendation what you're looking at there. I have no problem with it, but other than we may have to turn around and bid it, but we'll find that out. If you're in favor of doing that, then recommend and ask finance to look at it, because they've got to say where to pay it from, and then we'll find out about the bidding between now and then.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a recommendation that we recommend finance looking to find where they can pay this money out of for the quote 1, 2, and 3, along with up to $1,000 for the knockbox system at the annex as well.
Finance? Yeah, go ahead, Louis.
Two questions. Troy, is there something on here that we just could wait a little bit longer before we put it in to get it done before we don't have to bid it out? Or is there anything on here that just everything has to have right now?
Well, the one thing I would recommend is quote number 1. I mean, which is under the $25,000 mark. I mean, that could go in there, and then the rest of the stuff could be done after the fact. But that gives you the firebox and all the fire system, basically, other than the duct detectors. I mean, which smoke's going to rise, and it's going to set the system off if need be. But the duct detectors is just, it's moving air through the system, so it would shut the system down and not feed air through it.
So if you had your ruthers right now, you could recommend one and feel like we're good?
I'd feel a lot better if we had number 1 done, for sure. Yes, sir.
Second question, Mayor, is there a possibility that we could use some ARC money on this?
Yeah, when it gets to finance on this one, not the last one, but on this one, we'll be able to use archives reserve money. Is what I would suggest.
Right.
We've got the money in the archives reserve to pay for that one.
So I think we're pretty good shape that if we went that way, but finance, I guess, can come up with an idea.
What I hear a recommendation is what we want to do then, if we want to go with the bids or we want to go with the first quote and go from there.
I already have a motion
Okay.
on that to do all 3.
Do all 3.
I think that we should allow this process, because once we've approved these 3 things, to send it to finance and then let finance determine how to pay for it. If they want to pay for just quote 1 right now and they want to wait 2 or 3 months and do quote 2 and quote 3, I think that, but it already is out of our hands. We don't have to meet again in 2 months and talk about quote 2 again and talk about quote 3 again. But if we go ahead and recommend all of it, then that would be finance to be able to find those funds for it. So I agree. Troy, I agree with 1. I think 3, option number 3 is also very important. I mean, you've got very sensitive documents over there, and to be able to have a burglar alarm on that building, to be able to make sure that those documents and those things are safe over there, I think is highly important as well. Just a personal opinion here, but I think for our committee, I think my motion is to approve all 3 and sending those to finance, and letting finance figure out how to go about it.
Okay, let me ask one question before we do that. This is gonna go over the 25,000, so we're gonna have to go through a bid process if we do that, right?
I think we will, but like he said, finance can decide that if they wanna cut it
Okay.
up, and you recommend doing all three and let them handle the rest, is my suggestion.
Okay. We got a motion to have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll go, Troy, we'll go with that then, and appreciate you getting those together for us. Any more questions on archives building?
When is that? She let me know.
Can you handle that finance? Okay, sir. Any more questions on that? Okay, the next item we have is the fruit market.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
before you move to that, you've still got the courthouse annex, alarm to address. And to refresh your memory, the courthouse annex alarm is, needing an upgrade. Doesn't have to happen today or tomorrow, but it needs to happen. That base alarm is what he's recommending, the 18,911. That one can't be paid out of the archives reserve, but you all can do the same thing if you want to, recommend that on to finance, and we'll figure out something there if you want to do it that way.
Okay, what was the cost on that?
The 18,911.81.
Yeah, so what that quote is for is to use the existing wiring. It gets a new brain, and all the devices that hook to the system will all be brand new. I think it's a little over 20-something years old, and they recommend most of the time a system has a 9-year lifespan for the most part without doing any updates to it. You can test them, but that one's got some kind of issue with it. It goes off all the time, especially if the power flickers.
Mr. Chairman, question.
Yes, sir.
Troy, does the annex over here, does it have a knock box on it as well?
It does not, because we don't have a common key, and that's one thing that we might have to do is change, I think, 2 locks at the archives to be able to take one key and open all the doors. So that's the one thing about having a Knox box is you have to have common keys.
Sure. So that's not in this quote as well, because we did talk about that, I think.
No, they can get in that first door with just a code.
Okay.
But to get in the rest of the whole building, I mean, they would need about 9 different keys, I think.
Oh.
And we might could work on that, see if we could get some more commonality on some of that. We have with this remodel that we did from the flood. So we fixed a couple of doors.
I think that'd be great for us to look at something in the future for that, because I think it just allows fire department, EMS to be able to do their job better, just in case there's something that like happened here where they're not having to break down doors and kick doors down, which I know those guys love to do that, but
yeah, that's not preferable. That's for sure. Changing a lock is way cheaper than replacing doors.
absolutely.
If I could add to that, Mr. Chairman, just putting the lockbox in place with those 7 or 9 keys in it would be a step in the direction, though. And we don't have a master key for that building like we do here now, is what he's telling you, but we probably ought to, with that first recommendation there, add the lockbox to it. That way they go to the lockbox and they have those keys that will get them anywhere.
So Alex has confirmed that the $580 for a Knox box. So I thought $600 is right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a recommendation that we send to finance the base alarm update for the courthouse annex along with a Knox box up to the $600 mark, whatever the quote comes in, and recommend to send that to finance for them to be able to find the funding for it.
Got a motion, got a second. Got a second from Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Okay.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
discussion just a second, please. On that lockbox, you mentioned putting 7, 8, 6, 5, 6, 7 keys in there. Would it be easier or cheaper if you went in and fix the doors that's there for one master lock, master key like we have here, that you put in there just one key that could get into every office? Would it be smarter or reasonable, price-wise? I'd hate to have to think I had 7 keys, man, I'm trying to get in one office, 7 keys, try to get which key's which.
We, you
I'm
know,
s-
I guess the short-term fix could be is that we could number them, and they would know which key went to which door from that. And that's not uncommon to have a little diagram for a location. So we could start with that and then try to work our way through updating the doors to have a common key. I mean, when I did that here, it's pretty expensive to tier that because, you know, everybody wants the security of their office having the only key for their office, and so you have to tier that whole system. So it'll be expensive to do that. I don't know how expensive, but I know it'll be expensive to do it.
Okay, did we have a lockbox for that over there in that last motion? We did, didn't we? Okay, okay. So all that's covered then.
I did.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Moultrie, I think that in my first motion on the annex, it was up to $1,000. If you would, I don't know if we need to change that to 600 as well, since we have a price on it now, or I would just leave it at 1,000 then, and they can have that fun.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, we got everything cleared on alarms and the lockboxes?
You hadn't voted on that one though, have you? Did they vote?
Okay,
He did
yeah,
vote?
we voted,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's, I think, all we need there for now.
Okay, anything else from, that we need from Troy? Troy, you done a good job, thank you. Appreciate you. Okay, anything else, nothing else on that, we'll go on to,
We voted and then he asked a question about it.
are we straight? Okay. We got the right motions. Okay, we'll go on. I guess we can go to the farmer's market now. And we got the gentleman here that sets up at the farmer's market. We have some pictures. We had pictures made. I think some of the commissioners have went out and looked at the farmer's market. And of course, it's open to the public. And we do have a chain link fence all the way around it now. And so what we were concerned about was set up inside, and we have a gentleman here that sets up inside. And of course, I went out and looked at it, and we have a fence. He's got an interior fence. We got a new fence all the way around it, all the way around the market. And he's got an interior fence inside, and I've like to request that he take that down, and I've talked to him about it, and he said he would take that down. So, and remove that because we don't need it with the chain link fence all the way around it. And the other thing was he had a refrigerator and a cooler and another little refrigerator hooked up for electricity. And I told him he would have to get with the mayor on that when it comes to the electricity, because I'm going to leave that into it with him and the mayor, and see if we can't come to a reasonable amount there that he could pay each month for electricity for the the cooler and the refrigerator. And, listen, don't laugh if I call him Senorita, and the reason I do because I've knew him all my life, and I didn't know he was the one sitting there. But anyway, I've talked to him, and he's agreed that he would get and talk to the mayor. That's what they might come up with on a cost for electricity for that cooler and the refrigerator.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
do we currently charge vendors to set up at the farmer's market? So
No.
it's a free service.
Free service.
And if this gentleman decides to pay a fee to hook up, and he hooks up his cooler and he hooks up his other things and runs a power strip to it, then you start getting other people to hook up to it. Is that just going to be one charge, or is it every person? And who will monitor if other people at the farmer's market are hooking up to it and using that electricity? I totally fine with people using electricity out there for these things, but I just want to make sure that there is something available to where if other people or if other people who are using this market are able to use it as well, but that they also pay their fair share in the electricity for that area.
Well, that'd be up to the committee if you want to do it that way. If you don't, why, we just won't have any use of electricity at all, except lights at night, and they're furnished anyway. But if you want to make sure that it's paid for, somebody's going to have to be in charge of it. And if they do use electricity, because that can add up in over a length of a month, at a time. So do we have any recommendations? The rules are there that we don't have, I think, don't we, Lori? Don't the rules state that, or does it that they can't have electricity, or? Okay, then it's the vendors, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I may ask a question, how many different access points are there to electric? Is there just one outlet or
There's about
numerous?
6.
That's all I seen out there was one outlet. Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's probably at least 6.
Are they
There's some
6
on
out there?
different poles.
They're okay.
Yeah, all the way through there. Don't hold me to it, but I think there's at least 6.
Yeah, I seen that one. That's all out there, but it's okay.
Because when they built the thing, they put some on several
Okay.
poles. And there's
What's-
also a night light out there. Now we do have a motion detector set up also. Biggest problem that Jose's had in the past is the thievery from those tournaments they have on the weekends. If it's not, we got a fence now, but before the fence was installed, he was losing a lot of money because of the thievery from people coming on there and just getting stuff as they wanted to.
So do we have a recommendation on what we want to do on electricity? We're gonna have to make some kind of,
I think,
yes, sir.
Mayor, tell me if I'm wrong, but that is and Smoltry as well. Don't we have a farmer's market committee? I think that and Commissioner Alford, you're on that committee. Is that correct? I think that we should get a recommendation from them and then either allow them to bring it to us or allow the mayor's office to do that, because I believe that farmer's market would fall under, would it be Parks and Rec that what that farmer's area falls under, the care and supervision of?
No, it's totally under the committee, I guess, isn't it, Commissioner Alford?
I don't reckon it's ever been set up one way or the other, but we do have a committee made up of myself and I think Mr. Cry and there's 3 civilians, I believe, 2 or 3. 2 civilians and 1 vacancy. And we have talked about this before, and we couldn't come up with a recommendation because, and that's why we sent it to this committee, because it does really fall under buildings and land, because the building that he's put up in there, I think, is the major concern more than the electricity, because if we start charging electricity there, well, then we need to start looking at all these tournaments and things that come in there and stay lights on till midnight. We don't charge any of these tournaments electricity fees either.
Sure. I totally understand.
So there's a lot of electricity being used out there that not necessarily Jose and his little coolers,
Absolutely.
sent. So I think it's a discussion that we need to have probably on with the Parks and Rec people too, because you go out there at night, tennis court lights are on till midnight. Nobody's playing tennis in the wintertime. You got all these tournaments that come in there on weekends. They don't pay a penny in electrical fees. So you got a lot of problems in that respect too. But as far as Jose's situation, he's the only one that's been there for probably 3 years, I guess, by himself. And since Mr. Can't think of his name now. Bobby Orr passed away. There's no other vendors been in there but him, and he sets up quite a spread. So if you've never been there, he probably has.
We have been there many times.
So you know he has a lot of product.
Absolutely.
So
Okay, what's your recommendation on electricity? You wanna leave that, you wanna send that back to the committee? Committee?
Well, with Commissioner Alford's comments, who is on that committee, says that they've sent it to us. I hate to keep passing the ball down the road, send it back and forth, but I would venture to say that would have to come out of the mayor's office or one of the mayor's departments to figure out what the cost somebody would charge for electricity, and also what, who would collect that. I mean, obviously it would be the trustee who would collect that, but there's not really a committee or
Mr.
any
Mayor,
recommendation to do.
Mr. Chairman, what was
Yes,
the
sir.
design of I think Commissioner Alford said there were 6 outlets put in. Was there a design or a thought to, hey, this is going to be available to consumers of the farmer's market, or is this for private use, or what was the original intent, or was it just more aesthetics? Hey, we need to have outlets here for no real, I guess, not to say that it wasn't a plan, but it was just kind of a byproduct of the original design.
you want me to answer this?
Yeah.
Like you said, it was designed for people to use electricity if they need to, and that's the whole design of the place. I think, like I said, don't hold me to it, but I think there's at least 6 outlets there on different poles, and that's why it was designed for people that might need electricity to use electricity.
Well, is that, the wish of this committee?
Chairman.
Yes,
Just a quick question, is this power that's been used, these coolers or small coolers, are they just being used during the time that he's there, or are they used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? I think that to me makes a difference.
when I was there the other day, they were hooked up, they were cold.
Is,
You keep them, you leave the coolers on all the time, Jose? When it's open, they were open, they were on the other day, that's the reason I asked that, they were plugged in,
well, the reason I asked that was because under the spirit of what was just spoken about, if it's just been used during the times that he's there, then it fits under the guidelines of they were there for people to use, not to collect money on, to say. So in that, if you look at it from that direction, unless it's running 24/7, I don't see why charge a man that when he has power, access to power there to use. That's what it was meant for.
Don't come up to the speaker right here.
Is it on? Okay, it is on. Okay, sorry. He said that one day when he was cleaning up at the market, he went with his grandkids, and they plugged it up. They were just kids. They were like 5 years old. They just plugged it up, and that's the day that you saw that they were on because he was cleaning and he didn't realize. But he did unplug them that day. But then otherwise, he only has it on during when the market is open.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, under what was just said to me, I think unless it becomes an issue, then leave as is. And
Leave it as is.
if
Well,
you need a motion, I don't think there's anything on the books,
Yeah.
so do nothing. Or just not vote on it at all and leave it alone.
okay, do we have a motion to let them use it?
I'll make the motion, let them. But let me
Okay,
special from the time they're there, not 7 days a week, 24 hours, year round.
okay.
And
Mayor, give me a hard look, there. What's your thoughts, Mayor?
I really didn't. At the end of the day, I brought to your attention of a private citizen building somewhat of a building on county property and a private citizen using electricity more than just when they were open on county property. I brought it to your attention, so whatever your decision is fine with me. I've done my job.
I think that, I think what I brought up just during the times of them there would cover exactly what the mayor is speaking about.
Okay. They can use
Which-
electricity. anytime they're there.
I hate to keep hitting this topic. Is there any signage there that says that you can only use electricity, or is there any, is there anything? It's just,
I don't think-
my thing is what happens when other people start coming and they, don't go back on Facebook and watch this, discussion about this, and they have no idea that knows, or, know the rules or anything like that. My thought is that, I think it would be in the, for the farmers market committee to look at seeing if we could put some type of signage up there that talks about the use of the electrical outlets, that states exactly, electrical outlets may be used for during this time period. I mean, I don't think we need to hire somebody to put a breaker box in there and go flip the breakers every single day and put a lock on it. I mean, I think that if we could put a sign, let people know that this is kind of the rules. Most of the people who are at these farmer markets are really great people, and they're there to, provide a service, also to obviously make money. But I think that if you don't know, you won't know the rules. You don't know what we're.
Well, it looks to me like we need to make some rules. If we don't have them, we have rules. We've got electricity, we've got building, and we're gonna have to make rules. And, for putting buildings up and for using electricity. And, they do have a building up there now, and I don't know if somebody else comes in, and build a building. Why do we say, no, you can't build it, or what? So, I think we need a new set of rules is what we need. And, I don't know what this committee thinks about that, but, we're gonna have to have something to cover ourselves. So, that's my suggestion, that we do make rules on building and electricity and what they can do and can't do, and, enforce it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, do you want me to rescind that motion and send it back to the committee? Because at this point, I think the committee knows the direction we're going with it. They can set up guidelines and rules that would definitely be worded better than what I worded that motion anyway.
Okay,
And so
Is
in
that-
that case, I'll just rescind it, and then we can send it back to the committee to set up those guidelines.
okay, a motion to send it back to the committee, let's send it back to the agriculture committee,
Agriculture, yes.
and, go from there, and then they can come back to us. Is that agreeable with the building and land committee?
I'd second that motion if it hadn't been.
Are y'all in favor of that?
Aye.
Okay, Jose, we'll get back with you on this. We'll make up some rules. We'll have it in writing what you can do and what you can't do. But anyway, hopefully we're glad you're setting up out there, and we're gonna do everything we can to keep you there. So, let us work on that, and we'll get back with you on what the rules will be. We want you to stay there because we want to buy you vegetables. We thank y'all for being here this morning. Take care, Senorita. All right.
And once that gets sent to the farmers committee, we'll be letting known about that, right?
Right,
The
you'll-
contract
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
have them posted. We'll post them out there this time to make
Okay.
sure. No,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just,
Mr. Alford.
one other question, Chairman. Do you want the farmers committee to meet on any building that's been built out there without permission from Building and Land in the last year or two?
We need, no, no, just on that little building inside the
Okay.
fruit market.
Okay.
Because I don't know if we have that one there, if we're gonna let somebody else build another one or whatever, but if we got rules and regulations by,
I guess the point I'm making, there's been the buildings built out there that didn't come through here, didn't come through your committee either before. That's why I'm asking the question.
well, I don't know, it got put on me anyway. So, that's where we stand at. So I'd rather leave it to the agriculture committee and make that decision, but still, we gotta have some rules and regulations. All right, anything else on the farmer's market? All right, next thing, the fire chief's not here, is we need we've got, Taylor Fire Station. It's got some problems, roof leaking. What else? I was wanting to talk to the fire chief on that. But anyway, we need somebody check that out and give us a report on it anyway. Anyway, we'll get with Sean on that. And okay, no, I'm just looking at it. That's all right, but we'll get back with Sean on that and let them give us a report back on Taylor Fire Station. Okay, is there any other business? Yes. Lord. Okay, January. Okay. Okay, yeah.
Do we need a motion for November 21st too, or just, okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve January 9 minutes.
All righty. Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about that. But anyway, we got it straight. Anything else, Lori? Mayor? Okay. We're adjourned.